Part 4. The Reckoning. The Grand Armada of the Galactic Council gathered in the darkness of space. 50,000 warships formed up in battle formations that stretched for millions of kilometers. It was the largest military force the Council had assembled in 1,000 years. Every major species contributed vessels to the fleet. The sight was meant to inspire awe and terror. Commander Thane stood on the bridge of his new flagship. The Council had given him command of the Grand Armada with clear orders: destroy humanity completely. This time leave no survivors. His red scales had returned to their normal color. The shame of his earlier defeat burned in his chest, fueling his determination. All ships report ready, his tactical officer announced. Thane looked at the star map. Intelligence suggested the human fleet was gathering in the Seven Suns system, a cluster of 7 stars orbiting each other in a complex dance. It was a difficult system to navigate, full of gravitational distortions and radiation, but it was also far from any inhabited worlds. Perfect for a battle. Set course for 7 suns, Thane ordered. Maximum speed. We will crush them. The Grand Armada jumped through hyperspace. 50,000 ships moved as one, their combined mass causing ripples in the fabric of space itself. Council citizens across the galaxy watched on their screens. This would be the battle that ended the human threat forever. In the Seven Sun system, Admiral Jamin stood calmly on the bridge of Earth's vengeance. His fleet numbered only 15,000 ships, but each vessel was a masterpiece of human engineering. 3,000 years of preparation had gone into their design. They are coming, reported Bora from her console. Council sensors show 50,000 ships entering the system. Let them come, Jamin replied. This is what we trained for. This is why we exist. Captain Sung Ho commanded the Vanguard fighter wings, thousands of small, fast ships that would strike first and break enemy formations. Commander Mi Young directed the Dreadnought assault groups, massive vessels built to take punishment and deliver devastating firepower. Throughout the fleet, humans prepared themselves for the biggest battle in their species' history. The Council fleet emerged from hyperspace in a coordinated drop. 50,000 ships appeared at once, their weapons charged and ready. Commander Thane immediately ordered the attack. The first wave of missiles and energy beams lanced across space toward the human fleet. Then something impossible happened. The human ships flickered and became translucent like ghosts. The Council weapons passed through them harmlessly, striking nothing but empty space behind them. It was the phase shields in action, shifting the human vessels partially out of normal reality. Before the Council could react, the human fleet opened fire. Their weapons had no trouble hitting solid targets. Energy beams of strange colors tore through Council shields. Missiles struck with precision that suggested computer targeting beyond anything the Council possessed. Explosions blossomed across the Council formation. Impossible, Thane whispered. Concentrate fire on single targets. Overwhelm their defenses, but the human ships moved too fast. They used their singularity drives to compress space around them, allowing them to accelerate and maneuver in ways that seemed to violate physics. They weaved through the Council formation, always moving, never stationary. Captain Sung Ho led his fighter wings into the heart of the Council fleet. His pilots were all volunteers, men and women who had trained their entire lives for this moment. They flew their small ships with incredible skill, dodging between massive Council warships and striking at weak points in their hulls. Remember Earth, Sung Ho called over the communication channel. Make every shot count. His fighters tore through a Council supply ship, causing a chain reaction that destroyed 3 more vessels nearby. All around him, human pilots executed maneuvers that Council crews had never imagined possible. Commander Mi Young brought her dreadnoughts into range. These massive ships were designed to trade blows with enemy capital ships. Their hulls were thick with armor. Their weapons could crack a planet. She chose her targets carefully, focusing on the largest Council vessels. All dreadnoughts, focus fire on the enemy flagship, she ordered. 50 human dreadnoughts turned their weapons on Thane's ship. The combined firepower was like a star exploding. The Council flagship's shields flared bright enough to blind sensors. The shields held for 3 seconds, then collapsed. The hull underneath began to melt. Abandon ship, Thane roared, all crew to escape pods. He watched his second flagship in as many months die around him. The impossibility of the situation made him want to scream. The Council had superior numbers. They had the advantage. They should be winning. But instead they were being slaughtered. The battle raged for 7 days. It moved through all 7 star systems in the cluster, each side trying to gain advantage from the complex gravitational fields. The Council kept sending reinforcements, but the human ships destroyed them faster than they could arrive. Admiral Jamin coordinated his fleet with cold precision. He had studied every Council battle for 3,000 years. He knew their tactics, he understood their weaknesses, and he had trained his people to exploit every advantage. Their morale is breaking, reported Bora. Council ships are starting to retreat without orders. Jamin nodded. The Council had never faced an enemy like this. They were used to fighting species that used similar technology. They expected battles to follow certain rules. Humanity had thrown out those rules and written new ones. By the end of the 7th day, the Council fleet was broken. Of the original 50,000 ships, only 15,000 remained. The rest were destroyed or had retreated. The human fleet had lost 30% of its ships, but those losses were acceptable. They had won. Commander Thane drifted in an escape pod for the 2nd time in his career. Around him floated the debris of the Grand Armada. He felt hollow inside. The Council's greatest military force had been defeated by a species that was supposed to be extinct. How? He asked the empty space. How did they become so strong? The answer was simple, though he did not know it. Humanity had spent 3,000 years preparing for exactly this moment. Every resource, every mind, every heart, all focused on a single goal. The Council had spent those same 3,000 years growing comfortable and lazy. That difference decided the battle. News of the defeat spread through Council space like a shockwave. Citizens who had watched expecting victory now saw only disaster. The Council leadership gathered in emergency session. Empress Velith's elegant features were twisted with rage and fear. The military solution has failed, she announced to the assembled Council. We must consider other options, but the Council was fracturing. Many species saw which way the wind was blowing. The Vulcan rescue had shown that humanity offered protection. The Battle of 7 Suns had shown that humanity could win. Representatives began to speak against continuing the war. Perhaps we should negotiate, suggested a delegate from the Korvax species. Negotiate? Velith's voice dripped with venom. With the humans? They want to destroy us. No, said another delegate, a being made of crystalline structures. They want justice. There is a difference. The Council split into factions. The peace-seekers wanted to negotiate with humanity. The loyalists demanded total war even if it meant destroying the galaxy. The neutral bloc wanted to withdraw from the conflict entirely and let the two sides fight it out. Empress Velith saw her power crumbling. The Council had ruled for 10,000 years. Now it was falling apart because of one species that refused to stay dead. She made a desperate decision. Prepare the fleet, she ordered her military advisors. We will jump directly to Nexus Prime and activate the Void Cascade from the central station. If humanity wants war, we will show them what real power looks like. But Intelligence Director Hyunwoo had agents everywhere, even in the Empress's own court. Within hours, he knew her plan. He immediately contacted Admiral Jamin. They are going to use the Void Cascade again, Hyunwoo reported, from the central station at Nexus Prime. If they activate it there, they could destroy our entire fleet in one shot. Jamin felt cold anger settle over him. The weapon that destroyed Earth about to be used again. He would not allow it. Gather the fleet, he ordered. We jump to Nexus Prime. We end this now. Chief Scientist Yuna appeared on his screen. Jamin, Nexus Prime is the Council's capital. 50 billion beings live on that station. If we attack it, we could kill innocents. I know, Jamin replied. That is why we will be precise. We go for the weapon and the leadership only. No civilian casualties. We are not the Council. We do not murder the innocent. The unified human armada prepared for its final jump. 5,000 ships, all that remained from the Battle of 7 Suns. They would jump directly into the heart of Council space, to the station that housed the Council's government. It was bold. It was dangerous. It was necessary. The fleet activated their singularity drives. Space compressed around them. They vanished from the 7 Sun system and reappeared above Nexus Prime, the station that ruled the galaxy. The final battle was about to begin. Part 3. The Return. The Council patrol fleet drifted through space near the Outer Veil Nebula. 200 warships moved in standard formation, confident and relaxed. They had been on patrol for 6 months without seeing any threats. Space was peaceful. The Council had made sure of that. Commander Thane reviewed reports in his office aboard the flagship. He was Draknor, a species that resembled Earth's ancient dinosaurs but walked on 2 legs and spoke with intelligence. His scales were deep red, a sign of his rank. He had commanded Council fleets for 50 years without losing a single battle. "Sir," his communications officer called, "we are detecting unusual readings from the nebula." Thane looked up from his reports. "Define unusual." "Energy signatures that do not match any known species. They appeared for 3 seconds and then vanished." Thane felt a small worry in his chest. He had survived this long by taking every warning seriously. "Go to alert status. Activate shields. Prepare weapons." The fleet responded immediately. 200 ships raised their defenses and charged their weapons. They turned toward the nebula, searching for the source of the strange readings. Nothing happened. They waited for an hour. Then 2 hours. The sensors showed nothing but empty space and swirling gas clouds. "Stand down from alert," Thane finally ordered. It was probably just radiation from the nebula. "Continue patrol." The fleet relaxed. Shields powered down. Weapons went offline. The ships returned to their standard formation and continued on their route. That was when humanity struck. Ships appeared out of nowhere. They materialized inside the patrol formation, already firing. The human vessels looked strange and deadly. Their hulls were black and seemed to drink in light. They moved impossibly fast, dodging and weaving through space like dancers. The Council ships tried to fight back. They fired their weapons at the human vessels. But something was wrong. The Council weapons passed through the human ships as if they were made of smoke. Energy beams and missiles struck nothing but empty space. The human weapons had no such problem. Their shots hit the Council ships with devastating accuracy. Hull plating melted. Shields collapsed. Ships began to explode in brilliant flowers of fire and debris. Thane shouted orders from his command chair. His crew worked frantically at their stations, but nothing they did seemed to matter. The human ships moved through the fleet like wolves among sheep. Every shot they fired found its target. Every Council counterattack missed completely. In 30 minutes it was over. 200 Council ships were destroyed. Not one human vessel took damage. The human ships vanished as quickly as they appeared, disappearing into the darkness of space. Thane floated in an escape pod, watching the debris field that had been his fleet. He was one of only 100 survivors from a crew of 40,000. His scales had turned pale with shock. "What were they?" whispered his second officer, who shared the small pod with him. "I do not know," Thane replied, "but we must warn the Council." The news of the attack spread through Council space like wildfire. 200 ships destroyed without landing a single hit on the enemy. No identification, no communication, just sudden brutal violence and then silence. The Council convened emergency meetings. Empress Velith demanded answers. She was Thelian. Like her great-great-great-grandfather who had ordered Earth's destruction, she sat on her throne in the Council chamber, her elegant form radiating anger. "How can an entire fleet be destroyed by an unknown force?" she demanded. Who did this? No one had answers. The surviving records from Thane's fleet showed only strange black ships that appeared and vanished. The Council's intelligence networks had no information about this new threat. Over the next 6 months, it happened again and again. Council outposts went silent. Military bases were destroyed. Supply convoys disappeared. Each time, the attackers were the same mysterious black ships. They appeared from nowhere, struck with deadly precision, and vanished before reinforcements could arrive. Panic spread through the Council military. Soldiers began to fear the darkness of space. They jumped at shadows. They saw enemies in every nebula and asteroid field. Intelligence Director Hyun Woo watched the chaos from his hidden command center. His agents throughout Council space sent him reports. The Council was confused and frightened. They had no idea who was attacking them or why. That was exactly what humanity wanted. "Phase 2 is ready," reported his deputy, a woman named Yunji. "Our agents are in position on 50 Council worlds." "Begin," Hyun-woo ordered. That night, something strange happened across Council space. On 50 different worlds, the truth appeared. Screens in public spaces suddenly showed images that had been hidden for 3,000 years. They showed Earth as it once was, blue and beautiful and alive. They showed the Council vote to destroy it. They showed the Void Cascade weapon firing. They showed 17 billion humans dying. Text scrolled across every screen in hundreds of languages. Earth remembers. The forgotten have returned. The Council has lied to you. This is not the first world they destroyed. 47 civilizations have been erased. Your world might be next. The Council tried to shut down the broadcasts, but they appeared everywhere. On government buildings. On private computers. On communication devices. The message spread faster than it could be stopped. Citizens across Council space watched in horror. Many species had never heard of Earth. They did not know the Council had the power to destroy entire worlds. They did not know this had happened 47 times. Questions turned to anger. Anger turned to protests. On a dozen worlds, citizens demanded answers from their Council representatives. Some demanded the Council be dissolved. Others demanded protection from a Council that might turn on them next. Among the chaos, humanity made another move. A small fleet of ships arrived at a world called Velka. The Velkan people lived there, a species of peaceful traders who resembled tall, thin birds. The Council had recently declared them a threat. Their erasure was scheduled for next month. Captain Sung Ho commanded the human fleet. He broadcast a message to the Velkan government. We are humans. 3,000 years ago, the Council destroyed our world. Now they plan to do the same to you. We offer you a choice. Join us and we will defend you. Stay, and you will die. The Velkan leadership did not hesitate. They had seen the broadcasts. They knew their fate if they stayed. Within a week, the entire Velkan population of 5 billion beings evacuated their world on human transport ships. They left behind cities and farms and everything they had built. When the Council fleet arrived to enact the erasure, they found empty cities. The Velkan were gone. In the central square of their capital city, someone had left a message carved into stone. Earth remembers. News of the Velkan rescue spread across the galaxy. Suddenly, humanity had a name and a face. They were not mysterious attackers. They were survivors of Council genocide, returned to prevent more deaths. Public opinion in Council space fractured. Many species began to question their leadership. Some openly supported the humans. Others feared what humanity might become if they won this war. Admiral Jamin decided it was time to speak. He prepared a broadcast that would be sent to every world in Council space. The message would reveal humanity's purpose and demands. He sat in front of a camera, wearing the uniform of the unified human armada. Behind him was an image of Earth as it once looked from space. He began to speak. My name is Fleet Admiral Jamin. I speak for humanity, a species you thought was extinct. 3,000 years ago, your Council looked at our world and decided we were unworthy of life. They fired a weapon called the Void Cascade and murdered 17 billion souls. Men, women, children, all dead in 3 days. His voice remained calm but hard as steel. We survived. 70,000 of us escaped into the darkness. We hid, we built, we grew, we remembered. Every child born in those 3,000 years learned what was done to us. Every human alive today carries the memory of our murdered world. He paused, letting the weight of his words settle. We have returned, not to conquer, not to rule. We have returned to deliver justice. The Council has erased 47 species, 47 worlds full of life, destroyed because your leaders feared them. This will not continue. The Council will answer for its crimes. The galaxy will be free of their tyranny. Jamin leaned forward, his eyes burning with intensity. To the Council leadership, know this. We cannot be intimidated. We cannot be bargained with. We will not stop until justice is served. To the species living under Council rule, know this. You are not alone. Humanity stands with you. Together we will build a galaxy where no world lives in fear of erasure. The broadcast ended. Across Council space, trillions of beings watched and wondered. Some were inspired. Some were terrified. All of them knew that the galaxy had changed forever. In the Council chamber, Empress Velith watched the message with cold fury. She turned to Commander Thane, who stood before her throne. Mobilize the Grand Armada, she ordered. Find these humans. Destroy them all. Finish what we started 3,000 years ago. 3,000 years later, humans returned to Avenge. Earth's Erasure by the Galactic Council Story. Outline. 5 parts. Part 1. The Erasure Chapter. 1. The Verdict. The Galactic Council convenes on the orbital station above. Earth in the year 2087. Council Representative. Vorath of the Thelian Empire delivers the final decree. Earth is deemed a contamination risk to the galactic order due to human aggression and rapid technological advancement. Despite pleas from Earth's ambassadors, the vote is unanimous, 847-0 for planetary sterilization. The Council activates the Void Cascade weapon. Earth's surface is scoured clean in 72 hours, leaving only a dead rock. Chapter 2. The Scattered Seeds. A handful of human colony ships escaped the Sol system during the Chaos colony ship New Dawn, with 50,000 survivors. Commanded by Captain Dae-Jung research vessel, Prometheus Ark, with 12,000 scientists and engineers. Led by Dr. Hana military frigate, Last Defiant with 8,000 soldiers and their families. Under Commander Taehyun. The ships scatter into deep space, hunted by Galactic Council patrol fleets. They agree to go dark for millennia, hiding among uncharted star systems. Final transmission. Remember Earth. Remember what they took from us. Chapter 3. The Long Sleep. The survivors establish hidden colonies on remote, uncharted worlds. They enter a cultural period known as the Remembrance. Every child is taught the history of Earth's destruction. Human civilization begins its long transformation in the shadows. They discover ancient ruins on several worlds. Suggesting Earth wasn't the first victim, the survivors vow, "We will return. We will remember. We will have justice." Part 2. The Evolution Chapter. 3 millennia of silence. Year 5087, 3,000 years after Earth's destruction. Humanity has evolved across 17 hidden star systems. Population has grown to 400 billion across multiple worlds. They've developed beyond Galactic Council technology through necessity and isolation. Introduction of Fleet Admiral Jae-min, Supreme Commander of the Unified Human Armada. Introduction of Chief Scientist Yuna, Director of the Quantum Warfare Division. Introduction of Intelligence Director Hyunwoo, Master of the Shadow Network. Chapter 5. The new human arsenal Singularity Drives. Allows ships to travel through compressed space-time phase shields. Renders ships partially intangible. Passing through conventional weapons neural command networks. Entire fleets coordinated through quantum-linked consciousness. Genesis engines. Can terraform dead worlds in months. The Reaper Protocol, a doomsday weapon designed specifically to counter the Void. Cascade Humanity has built a war machine in secret, preparing for this single purpose. Chapter 6. The Council's Complacency. The Galactic Council has grown fat and corrupt over 3,000 years. They've erased Earth from official records, calling it the Forgotten Quarantine. The Council now rules 10,000 species across 200,000 inhabited worlds. They've repeated their cleansing protocol on 47 other species deemed threatening. Council Military Commander Thane, a reptilian Draknor, oversees the peacekeeping fleets. The Thelian Empire, led by Empress Velith, holds the Council's highest seat. None suspect that humanity survived, let alone thrived. Part 3. The Return Chapter. 7. First strike. A Galactic Council patrol fleet disappears near the Outer Veil Nebula. 200 warships vanish without a trace or distress signal. Fleet Admiral Jaemin's forces execute Operation Phantom Knife using phase technology. Human ships attack and retreat before being detected. The Council's investigation finds only empty space and debris. Panic begins to spread through Council military ranks. This is humanity's announcement. We're back. Chapter 8. The Shadow Campaign. Over 6 months, human strike forces eliminate Council military outposts. Intelligence Director Hyun-woo's agents infiltrate Council worlds. They spread the truth. Earth remembers. The Forgotten have returned. Liberation of the Velkin species. The 47th race scheduled for erasure, the Velkin, join humanity's cause, revealing Council atrocities to the galaxy. Small rebellions ignite across dozens of Council-controlled systems. The Council orders full mobilization but cannot locate the human fleets. Chapter 9. The message Admiral Jae-min broadcasts across all galactic channels. A human face appears on every screen in Council space. 3,000 years ago, you erased our homeworld. You murdered 17 billion souls. You deemed us unworthy of existence. We survived. We remember. We have returned. This is not a war of conquest. This is justice. The message includes undeniable proof of Earth's destruction and the Council's other genocides. Galactic public opinion fractures. As species learn the truth, 1/3 of Council member species vote to negotiate. The Thelian Empire and its loyalists vote to exterminate humanity once and for all. 4. The Reckoning, Chapter 10. The Battle of Seven Suns. The Council assembles its Grand Armada, 50,000 warships. Commander Thane leads the fleet to the Seven Suns system where humans were detected. The unified human armada emerges, 15,000 ships, but with superior technology. Admiral Jamin commands from the flagship Earth's Vengeance. Captain Sung Ho leads the Vanguard fighter wings. Commander Mi Young directs the Dreadnought assault groups. The battle rages for 7 days across 7 star systems. Phase shields and singularity drives prove devastating against conventional Council forces. Council fleet suffers 70% casualties. Humanity loses 30%. Commander Thane retreats. Stunned by human tactical superiority. Chapter 11. The Fracturing. The Council splits into 3 factions. The Peace Seekers, led by the Velkin and 400 other species, demand negotiation. The Loyalists, led by Empress Velith and the Thelian Empire, demand total war. The Neutral Bloc, representing 200 species, withdraws from the conflict. Chief Scientist Yuna proposes Operation Returning Light to Admiral Jamin. A massive fleet will jump directly to the galactic capital station. The Nexus Prime Intelligence Director Hyunwoo confirms the station's shields can be bypassed. The vote is unanimous among human leadership. Strike at the Heart. Chapter 12. The Siege of Nexus Prime. 5,000 human warships phase jump directly into Nexus Prime's orbit. The Council's central station, home to 50 billion beings, is surrounded. Admiral Jamin demands the Council's unconditional surrender. Empress Velith refuses, activating the Void Cascade weapon from the station, the same weapon that destroyed Earth, pointed at the human fleet. Commander Taewan's stealth team infiltrates the station to sabotage the weapon. Captain Hyojin leads her Marines through brutal corridor combat. They succeed, disabling the weapon, but at heavy cost. The Council, defenseless, has no choice but to negotiate. Part 5. The Judgment. Chapter 13. The Trial. The Galactic Council is dissolved by humanity's demand. A new galactic assembly is formed. With equal representation, the architects of Earth's destruction are put on trial. Empress Velith, former Council Representative Vorath, now ancient but alive, and 300 others. Prosecutor Mincio presents evidence of 48 genocides over 3,000 years. Defense argues it was for galactic stability and safety. Judge Advocate Seojun presides over the tribunal. The verdict: guilty on all counts. Sentence: exile to a quarantine system. Forced to rebuild civilization from nothing. Let them know what they inflicted on others. Chapter 14. Restoration. Humanity leads a coalition to reform galactic governance. The new Assembly's first act, the Covenant of Sovereign Species. No species may be erased, judged, or eliminated for their nature. Chief Scientist Yuna proposes Project Genesis Dawn using Genesis engines. They will restore Earth. A 200-year terraforming effort begins. Admiral Jamin retires. Satisfied that justice has been served, he settles on New Sol, one of the hidden colony worlds, but he knows some humans want more than justice. They want revenge. Chapter 15. The New Earth. 200 years after the Reckoning, year 5287, Earth blooms again, oceans blue, forests green, atmosphere pure. The first new generation of humans born on Earth in 3,200 years. A monument is erected at the site of Old Sol. Never forget. Never again. Commander Jiwoo, great-granddaughter of Admiral Jamin, leads the Earth Defense Fleet. She reflects on humanity's journey from victims to victors to guardians. The galaxy is at peace, but humanity remains vigilant. They remember the cost of complacency. Earth stands not just as a homeworld, but as a symbol. We were erased. We returned. We will endure. Epilogue. 3,000 years forward, year 8287. 3,000 years after humanity's Return Earth is the capital of the United Galactic Assembly. Humanity's story is taught across 10,000 worlds. A young alien student on a distant world learns about Earth's destruction and return her teacher. An elderly human named Sujin finishes the lesson. Remember this always. Those who forget history's horrors are doomed to repeat them. Those who remember them become its guardians. The camera pulls back, showing a thriving, peaceful galaxy. But in the darkness between stars, humanity's sentinel fleets still watch. Earth remembers. Earth endures. Earth protects. Character. Roster human leadership. Fleet Admiral Jamin, Supreme Commander of the Unified. Human Armada Chief Scientist Yuna. Director of Quantum Warfare Division Intelligence. Director Hyunwoo, Master of Shadow. Network Captain Dae-jung, Original Survivor. Commander of Colony Ship, deceased by main timeline. Dr. Hana, Original Survivor. Scientific Leader, deceased by main timeline. Commander Tae-hyun, Original Survivor. Military Leader, deceased by main timeline. Captain Sung-ho. Vanguard Fighter Wing Commander, Commander Mi-young. Dreadnought Assault Group Director, Commander Tae-wan. Special Operations Infiltration Leader. Part 2, The Evolution. 3,000 years had passed since Earth died. The calendar now showed the year 5087. Humanity had changed during those long centuries of hiding. They were no longer the frightened refugees who fled their dying world. They had become something new, something dangerous. Fleet Admiral Jamin stood on the bridge of his flagship. The vessel was called Earth's Vengeance, and it was unlike anything the Galactic Council had ever built. Through the viewing window, he could see the rest of his fleet. Thousands of warships floated in perfect formation around 17 hidden star systems. Jamin was 40 years old, but he carried the weight of 3 millennia on his shoulders. Every admiral before him had prepared for this moment. Every generation of humanity had built toward this single goal. Now finally they were ready. Status report, he said to his crew. A young officer named Bora read from her console. All fleets are at full readiness. 400 billion people across our colonies await the order. The Shadow Network confirms that Council Space remains unaware of our presence. Jamin nodded slowly. 400 billion humans. When Earth died, only 70,000 escaped. Now, after 3,000 years of growth and preparation, humanity had become a force that could challenge the entire galaxy. Chief Scientist Yuna entered the bridge. She was small and thin, but her mind held secrets that would terrify the Council. She had spent her entire life developing weapons for this war. Her gray hair was tied back from her face. Her eyes showed both intelligence and cold determination. The new drives are ready, she reported. All ships can now compress space-time and travel 10 times faster than anything the Council possesses. We can be anywhere in the galaxy within days. And the shields? Asked Jamin. Yuna smiled without warmth. The phase shields will make our ships partially exist outside normal space. Council weapons will pass right through us like we are ghosts. But our weapons will strike them just fine. Intelligence Director Hyunwoo was already present in the room. He preferred to stay in shadows and corners where people barely noticed him. That was his nature. He had built a spy network that reached into every corner of Council space. His agents lived on 1,000 worlds, watching and waiting. What news from the Council? Jamin asked him. Hyunwoo stepped forward. They have grown soft. The Galactic Council now rules 10,000 species across 200,000 worlds. They believe they are invincible. They have destroyed 47 other species since Earth. They call it peacekeeping. Jamin felt anger burn in his chest. 47 other worlds. 47 other civilizations erased because the Council feared them. But he kept his voice calm. Anger was useful, but control was necessary. Do they remember Earth? He asked. No, Hyunwoo replied. They erased us from all records. They call it the Forgotten Quarantine. Most Council citizens do not even know Earth existed. Only the oldest beings remember, and they choose not to speak of it. The 3 leaders looked at each other. They had spent years planning this moment. They knew every detail of Council military strength. They had studied every battle the Council ever fought. They had built weapons specifically designed to counter Council technology. But this was not just about weapons. This was about justice. This was about making sure the galaxy remembered what the Council had done. Show me the Genesis engines, Jamin said to Yuna. The scientist pulled up images on the main screen. Massive machines floated in space around several moons. They hummed with power as they worked. These engines can terraform a dead world in months, Yuna explained. When we are done with the Council, we will use them to restore Earth. The planet will live again. Blue skies, green forests, clean oceans. Everything the Council destroyed, we will rebuild. And the Reaper Protocol? Asked Jamin quietly. The room fell silent. Everyone knew about the Reaper Protocol. It was humanity's ultimate weapon, built specifically to counter the Void Cascade device that destroyed Earth. If the Council tried to use their planet killer again, humanity could respond in kind. It was a weapon of last resort, one they hoped never to use. Ready when needed, Yuna said simply. Jamin walked to the viewing window. He looked out at the fleet, at the ships that represented 3,000 years of preparation. Each vessel was crewed by people who had grown up hearing stories of Earth. They had been raised on the promise of return. They had trained their whole lives for this war. Tell me about the Council's current leadership, he said to Hyunwoo. The intelligence director pulled up profiles on the screen. Empress Velith rules the Thelian Empire and chairs the Council. She is the great-great-great-granddaughter of the Empress who ordered Earth's destruction. Commander Thane leads the Council military. He is Draknor, a reptilian species known for ruthlessness. They command 50,000 warships spread across Council space. 50,000 against our 15,000, mused Jamin. They have numbers. But we have better ships, added Yuna, better weapons, better training. Our people are united by purpose. The Council species barely tolerate each other. Many of them hate their Council masters but are too afraid to rebel. That fear is our opportunity, said Hyunwoo. My agents report that many species grow tired of Council rule. They see corruption and abuse of power. They want change but need someone to lead the way. Jamin turned to face his officers. The bridge crew had stopped their work to listen. These young people had never seen Earth except in recordings, but they carried the memory of it like a sacred flame. 3,000 years ago, the Council believed they could erase humanity, Jamin said, his voice carrying across the bridge. They believed we were nothing. A young species that asked too many questions and reached too far. They burned our world and scattered us like seeds in the wind. He paused, letting his words sink in. They made a mistake. They should have made sure we were all dead. They should have hunted us until not one human remained. Instead, they let us live. They gave us time, and we used every second of that time to prepare for this moment. The crew listened with burning eyes. Some had tears on their faces. All of them had lost ancestors on Earth, even though those ancestors died 3,000 years ago. We are not returning to conquer, Jamin continued. We are not becoming what they are. We are returning to deliver justice. We will show the galaxy what the Council truly is. We will free the species that live in fear, and we will reclaim what was stolen from us. He looked at Yuna and Hyunwoo. Both nodded. The time had come. Begin Operation Phantom Knife, Jamin ordered. Send our fastest ships to the Outer Veil. Hit their patrol fleets hard and fast. Leave no survivors. Let them wonder what happened. Let them fear the darkness. The crew moved into action. Orders flowed across communication channels. In the hidden shipyards, engines roared to life. Strike forces began moving toward Council space. Humanity had spent 3,000 years preparing for war. They had built an arsenal that would shock the galaxy. They had trained warriors who fought with the fury of the wronged. They had developed technology that would seem like magic to the Council, but most importantly, they had kept their promise. They remembered Earth. Every single human alive knew the story. They carried the memory of 17 billion dead souls. They bore the burden of justice delayed but not denied. The first human ships crossed into Council space. The war had begun. Part 5. The Judgment Nexus Prime hung in space like a giant wheel. The station was so large it could be seen from the surface of nearby planets. 50 billion beings from 1,000 different species lived and worked inside its massive structure. It was the beating heart of galactic civilization, the center of Council power for 10,000 years. 5,000 human warships appeared out of nowhere, surrounding the station in perfect formation. On every deck of Nexus Prime, alarms began to scream. Citizens looked up at viewing screens to see the black ships that had destroyed the Grand Armada, now floating above their homes. Admiral J. Min broadcast on all frequencies. His face appeared on every screen throughout the station. He looked tired but determined. Behind him, the bridge of Earth's vengeance bustled with activity. "Citizens of Nexus Prime," he began, his voice calm and clear. "This is Fleet Admiral Jamin of the Unified Human Armada. We have not come to harm you. We have come for justice. We have come for the leaders who destroyed Earth and 47 other worlds. We have come to end the Council's reign of terror." On the station, panic spread through the civilian areas. Parents grabbed their children. Workers fled their posts. But Jamin had been truthful. The human ships held their fire. They made no move to attack the station itself. In the council chamber deep inside the station, Empress Velith watched the human fleet with cold fury. She sat on her throne surrounded by her advisors and guards. Commander Thane stood nearby, his scales pale with shame and exhaustion. "Activate the Void Cascade," Velith ordered. Now. Her weapons officer worked frantically at the controls. The Void Cascade weapon was built into the station's core, powerful enough to destroy an entire solar system. It began to charge, drawing massive amounts of energy from the station's reactors. But Intelligence Director Hyun Woo had planned for this. His agents throughout the station had been waiting for this exact moment. Deep in the maintenance tunnels, a team led by Commander Taewon moved quickly through the darkness. Taewon was a special operations soldier, trained for missions exactly like this. He and his team of 30 infiltrators had been hiding inside the station for weeks, waiting for the signal. Now they ran through corridors that most station residents did not know existed. "Weapon chamber is ahead," reported his second-in-command, a woman named Ji-un. "Guards are at full alert. We go through them," Taewon replied. No time for subtlety. They burst into the weapon chamber with weapons blazing. The council guards fought back with courage, but they were not prepared for human soldiers who had trained for 3,000 years for this exact mission. The fight was brutal and short. Captain Hyo-jin led her Marine squad through another route, fighting toward the chamber from a different direction. She was tall and strong, her face marked with scars from previous battles. Her Marines followed her without hesitation, trusting her completely. "Left corridor," she shouted over the gunfire. Breaching charges on the door, the explosion echoed through the tunnels. Her Marines poured through the gap, their weapons cutting down any guard who tried to stop them. They moved with perfect coordination, each Marine covering the others. Both teams reached the weapon chamber at the same time. The Void Cascade weapon hummed with building energy, its surface glowing with power that could kill worlds. The weapon's operators tried to defend their station, but they were scientists, not soldiers. They fell quickly. Taewon ran to the control console. His hands flew over the alien interface, entering commands that Chief Scientist Yuna had given him. The weapon's charging cycle began to reverse. The deadly energy dissipated harmlessly into space. "Weapon disabled," he reported over the communication channel. On the bridge of Earth's vengeance, Admiral Jamin allowed himself a small smile. "Good work. Now get out of there." But Empress Velith was not finished. She activated the station's defense systems. Automated weapons throughout Nexus Prime began firing on anything that moved. The station's own citizens were caught in the crossfire. Civilians screamed and ran for shelter as their own defenses turned against them. "She is killing her own people," Bora said in horror. "Then we end this now," Jamin replied. "Broadcast to all council forces. Tell them to stand down, or we will disable the station's life support. Tell them we have no desire to harm civilians, but we will do what is necessary." The message went out. On the station, Council military forces faced an impossible choice. Their Empress was willing to kill everyone to maintain power. The humans were offering mercy if they surrendered. One by one, Council soldiers began to lay down their weapons. The Council chamber fell silent as guards abandoned their posts. Empress Velith stood alone on her throne, her elegant form trembling with rage and fear. The massive doors opened. Admiral Jamin walked in, flanked by his security team. He wore his uniform with quiet pride. Behind him walked Commander Taewon and Captain Hyo-jin, their weapons ready but not raised. "Empress Velith," Jamin said formally, "I am placing you under arrest for crimes against sentient life. You will stand trial for the destruction of 48 worlds and the murder of trillions of beings." "You have no authority here," Velith spat. "I am the rightful ruler of the Galactic Council." "The Council is dissolved as of this moment," Jamin replied. "Your authority is ended. You will face justice for what you have done." Throughout the station, human soldiers took control of key systems. They did it without unnecessary violence, always offering surrender before using force. The occupation was swift and efficient. Within hours, Nexus Prime was under human control. The news spread across the galaxy instantly. The Galactic Council, which had ruled for 10,000 years, had fallen. The humans, a species thought extinct for 3 millennia, had toppled the greatest empire in known space. Reactions varied wildly. Some species celebrated their liberation, others feared what humanity might become. Many simply waited to see what would happen next. Admiral Jamin addressed the galaxy once again from the council chamber. This time, he spoke not as a military commander, but as a representative of humanity's vision. The Galactic Council is dissolved, he announced. Its crimes are too many and too terrible to forgive. But we do not seek to replace one tyrant with another. We propose something new, a galactic assembly where every species has equal voice, where no world lives in fear of erasure, where disputes are settled by law, not by weapons that destroy planets. He paused, his face serious. 3,000 years ago, the Council feared humanity because we asked questions and reached for the stars. They tried to erase us from existence. They failed. We survived. We remembered. We returned. But we did not return to become what they were. We returned to ensure no other species suffers what we suffered. The trial of the Council leaders began 3 months later. A tribunal was established with judges from 50 different species. Prosecutor Min Seo, a brilliant human lawyer, presented the evidence. She was young but fierce, her voice cutting through the chamber like a blade. The evidence is clear, she said to the court. Empress Velith and her predecessors ordered the destruction of 48 worlds. Trillions of sentient beings murdered because the Council deemed them threatening. Earth was just the first we can prove. The records show many more that were erased so thoroughly even their names are forgotten. Judge Advocate Seo Jun presided over the tribunal. He was an older human with gray hair and eyes that had seen too much suffering. He listened to every word of testimony. He examined every piece of evidence. He gave the defendants every chance to defend themselves. Empress Velith claimed she was following ancient council law, that the erasures were necessary for galactic stability, that the council had kept peace for 10,000 years and a few sacrifices were acceptable. The court did not agree. After 6 months of testimony, the verdict was unanimous. Guilty on all counts. Guilty of genocide. Guilty of crimes against sentient life. Guilty of tyranny and corruption. The sentence, Seo Jun announced, is exile. You will be taken to a quarantined system far from any inhabited world. There you will be given basic supplies and left to build a civilization from nothing. You will experience what you inflicted on others. You will know what it means to start over with nothing. Velith screamed as guards led her away. But the sentence stood. She and 300 other council leaders who participated in the erasures were loaded onto a transport ship. They were taken to a harsh world far from civilization and left there. Let them rebuild. Let them understand what they had done. With the trial complete, the real work began. Chief Scientist Yuna activated Project Genesis Dawn. Hundreds of Genesis engines moved into position around Earth's orbit. The dead planet that had floated lifeless for 3,000 years began to change. The engines worked for 200 years. Slowly, impossibly, Earth came back to life. Oceans formed from ice brought from distant comets. An atmosphere was created molecule by molecule. Microbes were introduced, then plants, then animals. The entire ecosystem was rebuilt from genetic samples that the original refugees had saved. Admiral Jamin did not live to see Earth bloom again. He died at age 70, knowing that justice had been served. He was buried with honor on one of the hidden colonies, the world called New Sol. His grave marker read, "He kept the promise. He brought them home."